Flip phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
With the NFL draft fast approaching, everyone is ready. They want to see who's going to go number one. They want to see who their team is going to draft, and more importantly, who may be the future of the NFL. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a team's draft class that was quite recent, but is also quite unlucky, and that's the 2020 Raiders NFL draft class. Before I move on with the video, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, as we are on the road to 10K. Now let's get into it. The first player selected for the Raiders in the 2020 NFL draft was selected with the 12th overall pick in the first round, and that was wideout from Alabama, Henry Ruggs III. Ruggs had a good career at Alabama, as in 3 seasons, he had 98 receptions for 1,716 yards, averaging almost 18 yards per reception, and 24 total touchdowns through the air. He was coming off a 2019 campaign in which he had 746 receiving yards, averaging almost 19 yards per reception, and 7 total touchdowns through the air. Ruggs was seen as one of the best wide receivers coming into this draft in a very good receiving class. And he was also going to be someone that would be a day one guy in someone's offense and would probably be one of the fastest guys in the NFL right when he came in. With him being the first guy they selected in this draft and actually being the first receiver taken in this entire draft, Henry Ruggs was expected to be the next great star for the Raiders. Coming into his rookie year for the Raiders, he of course had a lot of hype being a first round pick and the first receiver taken in that draft. And honestly, looking at his rookie year as a whole, he did have quite a bit of ups and downs, and it was a little bit underwhelming, but after all, he was a rookie, and not every rookie translates the best in his first year. It was still solid though, as in 13 games played, he had 26 receptions for 452 yards, 17 yards per reception, and 2 touchdowns. In year 2 of his NFL career, Henry Ruggs clearly improved, and he was honestly playing pretty good. As in the first 7 games he played in, he had 24 receptions for 469 yards, averaging almost 20 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns, while improving his catch percentage to 67%. With this great start that he had in year 2, it would tragically end early. On November 2nd, 2021, Ruggs was involved in a fatal car wreck in which he would be charged with driving under the influence, resulting in a death and reckless driving. He's currently awaiting trial, and seemingly his NFL career is over. With their second selection, the Raiders took the Ohio State cornerback Damon Arnette in the first round with the 19th overall pick. Arnette was a standout as a Buckeye. In his career there, he had 140 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 5 interceptions, 22 pass deflections, and 2 forced fumbles. He was coming off a 2019 campaign in which in 11 games played he had 35 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 8 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble, and was even a second-team All-Big Ten. He would miss a good part of his rookie season, as he only played in 9 games, starting in 7 of them, in which he had 25 total tackles and 2 total pass deflections on the season. Going into year 2, he was a backup cornerback, and he would only appear in 4 games, as he would end up suffering a groin injury in the 4th game of the season and be put on injury reserve. And that would be the last game he ever played in a Raiders uniform, as he would then be released on November 8th of 2021 after a video surfaced of Arnette flashing firearms and threatening people. He would eventually sign with the Dolphins practice squad a little bit later on that season. Then in the offseason, he signed with the Kansas City Chiefs for a reserve/future contract, but literally 9 days after he signed that contract, he got in trouble again and was ultimately released from the Kansas City Chiefs. Arnette has been plagued with injuries and off-the-field issues in his first 2 seasons in the NFL, and it seems like his career could be coming to an end. With their third selection in this draft, the Raiders took one of the most versatile and athletic players in the draft, in Lynn Bowden Jr. from Kentucky. He was primarily a wideout in college, but he did play some running back, and in his final season, he was actually playing some quarterback as well. In his career, he held honors from Kentucky such as second team All-SEC in 2018, first team All-SEC in 2019, and was a consensus first team All-American in 2019. Bowden would not play a single regular season game with the Las Vegas Raiders as he was traded before the season began to Miami. In his rookie year for Miami, he played in 10 games, starting in 4 of them, in which he had 28 receptions for 211 yards and 0 touchdowns. He would miss his entire 2021 campaign due to injury. With their 4th selection in this draft, the Raiders selected wide receiver from South Carolina, Bryan Edwards. He was a 4-year starter for the Gamecocks, and in his career, he racked up 234 total receptions for 3,045 yards, averaging 13 yards per reception and 22 total touchdowns through the air. He was coming off a 2019 campaign in which in 10 games played, he had 71 receptions for 816 yards and 6 total touchdowns through the air. He was also a second-team All-SEC member. In 2020, as a rookie, Edwards was primarily a backup receiver as he totaled 11 receptions for 193 yards and 1 touchdown. He would have a much bigger and more involved role in the offense in year 2 in 2021, in which in 16 games played, he started in 12 of them. He had 34 receptions for 571 yards, averaging almost 17 yards per reception and 3 total touchdowns through the air. With their 5th selection in this draft, in the 3rd round, pick 100, the Raiders would end up selecting the safety from Clemson, who would then be a linebacker in the NFL, Tanner Muse. Tanner was a standout at Clemson, as in his career he racked up 191 total tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 7 interceptions, 14 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. He was coming off a 2019 campaign in which he had 54 total tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 4 interceptions, and 3 pass deflections. Muse would end up missing his entire rookie campaign with the Raiders in 2020, and he was released right before the 2021 season, so he never played a down with the Raiders. He would sign with the Seattle Seahawks shortly after being released by the Raiders going into 2021. He was originally on their practice squad, but he would eventually be promoted to the active roster, in which he played 6 total games with. With their number 6 pick in the NFL draft for 2020, the Raiders would take an offensive lineman from Clemson, John Simpson. John Simpson was a standout for Clemson while he was there. He racked up accolades such as 3rd team ACC 2018, first team All-ACC in 2019, and was a consensus first team All-American in 2019. Simpson would primarily be a backup as a rookie in 2020, as he played in 7 games, only starting in 2 of them. But in 2021, however, John Simpson would solidify himself as a starter, and he started in every single game for the Raiders. With their last selection in the 2020 NFL Draft, in the 4th round, 139th overall pick, the Raiders would take a cornerback from La Tech, Amik Robertson. Robertson was seen as one of the more underrated players in this draft. He was an undersized DB, but his numbers and film spoke for themselves in his college football career at Louisiana Tech. He was a 3-year starter in which he had 184 total tackles, 23 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 14 interceptions, 34 pass deflections, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 forced fumbles. He received many accolades while at Louisiana Tech, such as Conference USA Freshman All-American Team, Football Writers Association Freshman All-American, and All-American in 2019 by the Football Writers Association, Associated Press Second Team All-American in 2019, and he was a 2-time First Team All-Conference USA member. As a rookie, he wouldn't see the field the most, as he was a backup and he played in 8 games. In 2021, his role and his playing time would increase, but some Raiders fans thought he was going to be a much bigger factor in 2021. He played in 10 games, starting in 2 of them, in which he had 19 total tackles, with 14 of them being solo and 5 of them being assisted. When the 2020 NFL Draft concluded, some thought the Raiders had one of the best drafts out of all the teams in the NFL. But looking at it today, it seems to be one of the most unluckiest, as only 3 of the 7 guys that got drafted in that draft to the Raiders are currently with the team right now. Well guys, if you made it this far in the video, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe for more videos. B. Kelly out.